Okay, so I'm just gonna check for the audio, okay? There we go. So, hello my TV, my name is Alethea, I'm your host as usual. Today I'm accompanied by actor-producer Scott DuPont, who is here to talk about some of his projects that he's done in the past and his upcoming new project. So, how are you?
Live. Happy to be here. So no cussing on this show, right? We're streaming live?
I mean, it has before, so I think,
Okay.
you wouldn't be setting the precedent.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Okay, so I do want to get started with your background and sort of where you grew up and what made you want to get into the film industry.
Kind of a long story. I didn't get into it till my mid-30s. So didn't really do theater, didn't do anything as a kid, and kind of a transition point in my life. I was going back to graduate school. I saw this little ad for, hey, you want to make some money doing commercials? I was in Orlando, Florida at the time. And I saw very quickly from my acting instructors at that school in Orlando, Florida, that in Central Florida, which is a huge commercial market, it's not necessarily the big film or television market, that a lot of people were making a living in front of the camera. So I was pretty good at it. I booked a few commercials, some corporate videos, and 30 years plus later, here I am.
Mm-hmm. At what point did you decide to move to LA to start doing more film-oriented stuff?
It was October 2008. It was kind of the trifecta, because I was actually really happy in Central Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I was working all the time. I had networked with so many production companies and studios, and it was great. But October 2008, we had 3 hurricanes that swept through Central Florida. Literally, like my street was closed down for over a week with trees and power lines down. The Great Recession, which slowed production down. The hurricanes also, there was no more production insurance, so things weren't allowed to film. And then the icing on the cake was that the film and television incentives for the entire state of Florida, unfortunately, were pulled. Within a week or two after that, my agent, the Link agency, went out of business. So I was like, I gotta move to LA full time.
So you were an actor for a long time, right?
Long time.
And then, but you also started producing. So can you tell us that shift there?
So 2 or 3 years into my, call it acting career, I was acting, making a little bit of money. I quickly became a frustrated actor. So I didn't want to leave my career casting gods, because you can be the best actor in the world. Like, you can beat out 50 other girls that look exactly like you. And at the end of the day, because being on the other side of the table now for years as a producer, I see what happens. You might not match up the chemistry with the lead man. So nothing you did, you got the greatest audition, but you're kind of, it's chance, right? It's like 1 in 100 chance of being booked in a big film or a project or even an indie film. So I was like, hey, if I can go out and put my own project together, I can put myself in front of the camera. And that's what I did with my first feature film called The Bros. We produced that in 1999, and it's still out there. It just got picked up by Tubi 2 months ago, making money now, The Bros.
That's incredible. Okay, so I do want to talk about sort of your new mantra, your new brand that you're having out. I see you're wearing the tie for it. I don't know if the camera picks it up.
Finance your movie.
Finance your movie. Can you tell us about this sort of way of thinking that you have now?
So I shifted from an actor to being an actor-producer, so I could control my own career. And just being out here so long, and I still have a lot of productions, I still have friends in Florida, Atlanta. There's so many talented people, whether it's a screenwriter, actor in front of the camera, director, but it all comes down to, if you don't have, the good news is you don't need a ton of money, but if you don't have a little bit of money, there is no movie, there is no TV show. And I've been doing it for so long, for 25 plus years, I decided, hey, maybe I can kind of pay it forward a little bit and give some advice and tips and strategies to other actors, filmmakers, directors, screenwriters, so they can do their project. And when I say a little bit of money, when I shot my first feature film back in 1998, to be taken seriously, you had to shoot on 35mm Panavision cameras. I mean, just our film budget alone was close to $100,000 just on film stock, and then you're transferring the tape stock and editing on an Avid. Now everything's digital. I mean, the cameras here, they're iPhones. I mean, there's no excuse if you have a couple $100,000 why you can't make a really good movie.
Yeah. You just exposed us. You told them they're iPhones.
They're great.
They're iPhones.
I shot two of my last 5 movies that I was in front of the camera on. They were iPhones.
Yeah.
And they got distribution.
Yeah, that's incredible. So going along with that, so what is the biggest challenge that filmmakers face today?
Well, like I said, it's about the money,
It's always about the money.
right?
Yeah.
So if you know a few strategies to get the money, you can do your own project, right? So it all comes down to the money.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to just share tips. And I have a free podcast that drops every week on finance your movie, just giving people tips and advice so they can do their own.
Yeah. So is this project that you have going on, is that something that people should follow you and then take your advice, or is it like, are you doing like a program, or what is it like? What's the format?
If you're an independent if you're an independent filmmaker, if you're a screenwriter and you're frustrated with just submitting to film festivals, screenwriting competitions, hoping that someone greenlights your film, which probably won't happen. I don't want to be a naysayer. Or if you're an actor, you want more, like myself, you want more control of your career, go out and raise a little bit of money, produce your own project, and you can star in it.
Yeah. I did want to ask you, how do you go from being an actor, say like all you know is acting, to being more of a producer?
Okay, so I'll tell you the exact transition we did. So we started out with that film I just talked about, The Bros. We started out doing a short film, okay, to kind of get our feet wet, where I was a producer, I was also one of the actors, and we built a really, really good team. So it wasn't just Scott DuPont, like, hey, I brought in my cousin who did the art department. We found this really talented writer-director, Jonathan Figg. He came on board. We brought another producer. And the one missing component, this is a valuable lesson to all indie filmmakers out there. If you don't have what I call some gray hairs, these are going to turn white someday soon, meaning years and years of experience. So here we were, 3 or 4 young kids where we had a little bit of success with that short film. Played at festivals, got a lot of buzz, and here we are trying to gear up to do $1 million feature, okay? The first thing we did, once we got some advice, is we brought on this older, wiser gentleman called Tracy Frankel. He was one of the producers. So in our business plan, we had somebody with experience. And I can't stress that enough. If you don't have at least in your team 10, 20, 30 years of experience, bring in a consulting producer, bring in an associate producer, bring in somebody with years and years of experience. Because someone could have a connection with you. It's like, oh, I love your work, I love your passion.
Yeah.
But if you haven't made a couple of feature films and you haven't gotten distribution, if you haven't made money, they're going to be hesitant putting a lot of money behind you.
Yeah.
So that's where building a good team is critical.
For this film that you were talking about, was the short a proof of concept, or was it just you put together this beforehand and then presented it as, hey, we can make movies?
It was a proof of concept. So Jonathan, the writer-director, he already had written the feature.
Yeah.
And his writing professor, a small college, Rollins College, he's like, wow, this guy has really, really talent. So he connected me with Jonathan. I read the scripts, like, wow. And we knew we couldn't just go out and do a feature film without at least producing a few shorts. And so we said, hey, if we're going to do a short, let's take a few scenes from the feature that were really strategic. We did the whole thing, I think, on $5,000, shooting on film. No excuses today not to do a short film for a couple $1,000. And it ended up winning first place at the New York International Film Festival. So just got tons and tons of local press, some buzz at the film festivals. We brought in an experienced producer, a couple of other people as advisors, and that's part of how we got the money.
Yeah. As a producer, so I do want to have your input because you have sort of knowledge on the financial side. What's something that filmmakers can do to save a lot of money on a film that perhaps is not as thought about? Because you mentioned something about the lights actually, which sparked my attention as to you're always thinking about how to save.
Once again, the first thing you should do, even if you've done a few shorts, bring in somebody like a Michael Baumgarten, who
Yeah.
you met last week. He,
Check out his interview.
a
Yeah.
mutual friend. I see Michael once in a while, and he has years and years and years of experience, not only as a producer director and a writer, but as a line producer.
Yeah.
So if you can align yourself with somebody, and not necessarily in the studio world, because that's a whole different animal, but somebody who's been in the independent world, Michael knows how to shave money off a budget. Other people that have done multiple features, they know, like Tracy Frankel, he knew every trick in the book. Like that feature we did, I think something like 30% of the movie was at night. And that's really, it's not so tricky today, but at the time, we were looking lights and said, Tracy goes, no, I'm gonna call my guy, just started a brand new company, it's called Air Star Balloons, this was in 1998. And literally with helium, he first night we're shooting, he brings this huge balloon, and we have this soft, diffuse light, and it saved us 2 or 3 hours of extra setup. So because Tracy knew that company, now it's a pretty common stance to have these big lights in the sky. But things like that, little things like, you don't want to buy film lights, you want to go to Office Depot and buy lights that are 20 cents on the dollar.
I think things like this could stop, shy away filmmakers from making it. They're like, oh, I'm not gonna have enough money to do that, right?
No, there's no excuse today.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, if you have $200,000 to $300,000, you can make a killer documentary. For $500,000, and every story is different. Some stories you can't tell for $1 million. A lot of action, stunts, driving sequences, but there's a lot of movies you can tell for about $500,000 that we couldn't do years ago on film. No excuse. I mean, the LED lights, you don't even need a generator here. The cameras, the lenses, everything is so cheap. The editing software, it's a filmmaker's renaissance.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I do want to talk to you about so you were an actor, a producer. You told me you're going to go into retirement soon, right? So what is the plan there, and do you have any advice going along with that as a producer?
Well, I've just been doing this so long, and I like to tell future filmmakers or any filmmakers, it's never easy to raise the money, but it's very simple if you know the blueprint, the exact steps. And the last few clients and people who have seen our documentary, Movie Money Confidential, people who have listened to my podcast, some of them have actually gotten funded. And that brings me more joy when somebody sends me an email or a text or calls me up and say, hey, I just got funded. I've done it before. I'm almost more excited for them because it's their first time.
Yeah.
So this new film I'm going to shoot this fall in Florida is probably going to be my last film. And I'm just going to do my podcast, do my show, and just help other people.
Yeah, that's incredible. You also have another project coming out, the Burt Reynolds. Can you tell us about that?
Just came out 2 or 3 months ago. It's called Burt Reynolds, The Last Interview with Quentin Tarantino. And we got a wide release on 20 different platforms. We're also on a few airlines right now. And if you go to moviemoney.com, you'll see all the 20 platforms right there. You can watch it.
Yeah, and it was released recently, right?
Yeah, about 3 months ago.
3 months ago? Yeah. So check that out. And then, so what did you do on this project?
I was a producer.
So you produced it, yeah. We
Yeah.
talked about this and how he...
Biggest movie star in the world
yeah.
for 10 years. In terms of box office revenue, in the history of cinema, there's only one guy that was bigger than Burt Reynolds, and that was John Wayne, because he made so many movies. The only movie star that will probably catch him if he keeps making movies is Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
He's on his way. But Burt Reynolds was just, not only was he the biggest movie star in the world, but just a legend and just an awesome, awesome guy. He, see the movie, but one of the things that he liked to be known for was a mentor and a teacher. So he was kind of paying it back to the next generation as well.
Yeah. And I also quickly want to ask if, as a producer, you've seen certain types of projects get picked up for distribution more than others. Have you noticed a pattern there?
Yeah, so that's another thing I talked about, the filmmaker's renaissance, because you can make a movie today for 20 or 30 cents on the dollar. On the distribution side, there's unlimited streaming options. So in terms of distribution, you want to make sure you start with a good team And if you can, bring on a couple of names, because even if you just go straight to AVOD, like platforms like Tubi, or Amazon Freevee, all they're looking at is your little thumbnail, and you can have some really cool artwork, but it really, really helps with the thousands and thousands of other movies people are scanning if you have a couple of names. So be strategic when you get the money, and once again, having one or two veteran producers can help get the talent. And then also try to hook up with either a sales agent or a producer's rep or just a producer that's done the distribution game before, because otherwise, like, don't try to figure something out yourself for the first time. You know, save a lot of time and save a lot of energy. Surround yourself and network, we talked about networking earlier, with people who have done it before. Whatever you want to do, follow someone who's done what you want to do before.
Yeah, that's really great because we need to learn from people that are much more experienced, right? You need to have at least one person there. So.
I'm learning every day.
Yeah.
Every day I'm learning from people wiser and more experienced than me in certain things.
We've learned so much from you today, so I want to ask you if there's any closing thoughts maybe for young actors, any filmmaker that maybe is starting out, you know, with their shorts and things like that. Any closing thoughts for them?
Yeah, we actually talked about this a little bit earlier. I think probably the most important thing is to network. Because at the end of the day, do you want to go into a casting room and have a 1 in 100 chance of booking that thing? If you build up relationships over time, people know you, they trust your work, you can oftentimes get pulled into a project. The other thing, whether you're a screenwriter, an actor, or a director, is you really need to consider yourself like a product. So early on in my career as an actor, ScottDuPont.com, I literally, I took out ads in the newspaper, I wrote columns, I hooked up with a local dentist to do his ad. I was just marketing myself like crazy. So figure out some unique marketing strategies. This show is you're marketing yourself as a fantastic host on this show, so you're already doing it.
Yeah, and you have to be humble, but I did hear that you were like the most busy actor in that time, in that state, right?
I was, and I think that really came down to me networking.
Yeah.
I was literally out of the house 3 or 4 nights a week, either going to a film festival, going to a friend's film screening, supporting other people's projects, and building that network. And I'll just give you like a quick story. So one time I busted my leg. I was recovering from a knee surgery that went pretty bad. Literally, doctor said it was invasive. It wasn't just like 4 little holes, endoscopic. So I was out for like a month and I couldn't work. So here I am, an actor, living paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, on my bed. I can't move. And some buddy called me up. I was like, "How you doing?" It's like, "Well, I can't work for a month. I got bills coming in. I'm screwed." He goes, "Well, let's go to this film networking event tonight. I'll pick you up," because I couldn't drive.
Yeah.
Okay, so I go to the film networking event. I didn't really feel good. There's like stuff draining out of my knee. I'm on crutches. Okay, I'm hobbling around this networking event with 100 other producers, actors, or whatever. The lady from Florida Hospital, she handled all the marketing and advertising for Florida Hospital, which is a huge hospital in the state of Florida. She goes, "Are you an actor? Is it like that real?" It's like, "I am an actor, but that is real too." It's like, we're doing this whole ad campaign for this rehabilitation program for this new wing. So out of that one meeting, because I got out of bed on my crutches, I got print ads, which I still have to this day, I show people. I got some commercials, I got ongoing work from that one lady at Florida Hospital just for going out of the house.
Wow, that's incredible. Wow.
So don't stay home.
No excuses.
Network. Get your name out there, get your brand out there, do whatever it takes. No excuse.
Yeah, no excuses. Oh, that was so incredible. That's a great story, actually, and that something good came out of this injury that you had. It was so lovely to talk to you. Thank you for the space.
You as well.
And we want you to check you out on your socials, so where can we find you?
Scott DuPont, pretty much on all social media. Facebook, Twitter, X are my main ones, LinkedIn.
Your podcast.
Yeah, Finance Your Movie. That's pretty much everywhere, or moviefinanceguy.com.
Yeah, that's incredible. Check them out, and I'd like to thank everyone for watching today's interview, and we hope you stay tuned for more. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. No
Thank
cuss
you.
words. We made it.
No, we made it, yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah, thank you.